Make sure this shit's working before I fucking touch anything, bro. I don't care about this. Shit's working before I fucking touch anything, bro. Bro, I can hear myself, bro. What in the hell?
Keel hauling. Moving from land, to the unforgiving sea. We come to a naval punishment by sailors across European fleets, especially the Dutch Navy in the 17th and 18th centuries. Keel hauling. Reserved for serious offenses like theft, mutiny, or violence. Aboard ship. It was as brutal as the ocean itself. The condemned sailor had ropes tied to his arms and legs, looped under the entire hull. He was thrown overboard on one side, pulled a rope from the other, dragging him slowly beneath the vessel, including under the barnacle-encrusted keel, ship's backbone. Barnacles acted like natural razors, slicing skin, flesh into ribbons. Many victims drowned from salt water and exhaustion, or suffered broken necks and backs. Impact against the hull. Seawater and open wounds cause immediate agony and later deadly infection. If the crew pulled slowly, the suffering stretched out. If quickly, death came fast. Depending on how motivated or merciful. The sailors felt that. Survivors, rare as they were, often died later from massive blood loss or septic shock. Those who lived faced a lifetime of disfiguring scars, chronic pain, and social mockery aboard. This public ritual reinforced iron on long voyages where the captain's word was law. And traditional courts were far away. It served as a stark warning. Betray the crew. And the sea itself would claim you in the most humiliating way. Number seven. Crushed by elephants. Now the list turns truly where escape or survival was never the intent. Execution by elephants. Known in parts of South and Southeast Asia, including India. Was practiced for centuries and continued into the 19th century under various rulers. It reached a notorious peak during the...
Bro, y'all gotta tell me why my audio is fucked up, man.
Mughal Empire. Crimes warranting this fate included tax evasion, theft, rebellion, or simply displeasing the emperor. Mughal rulers like Jahangir reportedly ordered large-scale crushings purely for entertainment when bored, turning justice into spectacle. Elephants, massive and intelligent, were trained by skilled mahouts handlers who rode atop them, demonstrating the ruler's command over nature's giants. This public display was meant to awe the crowd. If we can control such beasts, imagine our power over you. There were several methods. The quickest, and perhaps most merciful, involved tying prisoners' arms behind their back and placing their head on a stone pedestal or block. One stomp from the elephant's foot crushed...
Bro, I'm not doing shit until I know this is working. This shit's broken. That's broken. I swear I know how to work the computer, bro.
Why aren't we moving?
Oh, man.
All right, guys, reverse the sails and lower the sails up.
Alright, we're good.
The skull at a grape, ending things almost instantly. The slower, more sadistic versions were theatrical. The victim might be laid flat on the ground, and the elephant guided to trample the body repeatedly. If it only crushed a limb on the first pass, the animal would make U-turn for additional attempts, prolonging the agony with broken bones, ruptured organs, and internal bleeding. The most horrifying approach, favored for dramatic effect by emperors seeking entertainment, involved crushing limb by limb. First the arms, then the legs, followed by tusk stabs to create wounds, before the final blow to the torso or head.
Bro, you know they was alive for all of that, bro. That shit, they just straight up sat there and suffered through it, bro. Imagine what was going through their heads. Like, that is an unimaginable, unfathomable amount of pain, bro. Like,
medically, victims endured compound fractures, massive hemorrhaging, traumatic shock, and slow suffocation as their chest was compressed. Crowds watched in horror or forced admiration, reinforcing social order through fear. Even your great-grandparents' era might have overlapped with the last recorded uses, a chilling reminder of how recently such barbarity persisted. Neursis, impalement. Few methods match the visceral gruesomeness of impalement, widely used in various empires but vividly documented in 17th century Ottoman Egypt by French traveler Jean de Thévenot. It targeted highway robbers, grave desecrators, rebels, or those using false weights in markets. The process began with the victim forced face down, hands bound behind the back. Executioners made a careful incision to enlarge the anus with a razor, then applied a special paste to staunch immediate bleeding. A long wooden stake, thick as a man's arm, sharply tapered at one end and greased for smoother entry, was then hammered in with mallets. The stake was driven gradually through the body, designed in some cases to avoid major arteries, so death wasn't instantaneous. It might emerge from the shoulder, mouth, or head. In a prolonged version, the stake wasn't driven fully through. A support or seat prevented the body from sliding down further, keeping the victim alive for hours or longer while impaled upright on a busy roadside. Passers-by heard desperate pleas for mercy or a quick death as the victim twisted in pain. Thévenot described one man left for 3 hours, speaking and grimacing, before being finished off because the stench became unbearable. The body was displayed as a warning for a day, then removed. From a medical viewpoint, this caused catastrophic internal trauma, perforation of organs, massive infection risk, and agonizing nerve damage. It combined physical destruction with public humiliation.
bro, that's just insane, bro. The world was so less humane back then that it's almost like, just imagine the amount of pain. That's what I'm sitting here trying to...
Serving as a powerful deterrent in societies where maintaining order on trade routes was critical. Number 5, Pena culiae, the penalty of the sack. In ancient Rome, certain crimes demanded uniquely symbolic and horrifying retribution. Pena culiae, or penalty of the sack, was reserved almost exclusively for parricide, the murder of a parent or close family member, seen as an offense against nature and the gods. Documented from the 2nd century AD and referenced in Roman legal texts, the condemned was first flogged with blood-colored rods. Then, they were sewn into a thick leather sack along with 4 live animals, a dog, a rooster or cock, a viper, snake, and a monkey. These creatures symbolize different vices or chaotic forces. The monkey for foolish imitation of humanity, the snake for treachery, and so on. The nearly airtight sack was thrown into a river or the sea. Inside, panic ensued. The animals clawed, bit, and attacked in the darkness and rising water, while the humans suffocated or drowned amid the frenzy. Some later variations reportedly allowed a grim choice: the sack or facing wild beasts in the arena before spectators, including family. This punishment emphasized ritual purification and the idea that the offender had become monstrous, unfit for normal burial or society. It combined physical torment with profound psychological degradation. Number 4, rat torture. Rats return in 2 even more deliberate.
Oh, I hate mice, bro. I hate them so bad. They're so fucking weird.
And sadistic form.
I hate mice. I hate rats. I hate all of it, bro. They're just fucking creepy, man.
The first dates to 1568 during the Dutch revolt against Spanish rule. Leader Diederik Sonoy reportedly used a method where a live rat was placed inside an upside-down clay or metal bowl on the prisoner's bare stomach, chest, face, or groin. Hot coals or a torch heated the bowl from above. The terrified rat, desperate to escape the rising temperature, would frantically burrow and gnaw through the soft flesh, tearing into muscle and organs in search of an exit.
Bro, This shit has to be so slow and painful, bro. It's actually terrible. Like
Accounts
I get freaked out just thinking about it, bro.
describe the animal eventually chewing its way through the victim's bowels. A far more invasive and secretive variant emerged centuries later under Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet's regime, 1976 to 1983. Known in some reports as a rectoscope, it involved inserting a tube into the rectum, or sometimes vagina, and
Hell no.
forcing a live rat inside. Victims face interrogation even as the animal burrowed deeper, causing unimaginable internal damage. Many political prisoners disappeared during this era. Survivors suffered catastrophic infections, perforations, and long-term trauma. Similar methods were allegedly used in other South American dictatorships. Medically, both caused severe tissue destruction, peritonitis, sepsis, and death from shock or blood poisoning. These tactics exploited not just pain, but the psychological horror of being violated and consumed from within by a creature humans instinctively revile.
I would rather kill that animal, bro, take its claws and end it myself, bro, because that is absolutely just kill me at that point, bro. Like,
Number 3, gibbeting. Gibbeting turned death into a long public spectacle. In England, the 1752 Murder Act mandated that convicted murderers face either public dissection or hanging in chains gibbeting after execution. Over 130 confirmed cases followed. Similar practices appeared elsewhere, including in 17th to 18th century America for pirates and in early 20th century Afghanistan, where a National Geographic photo from 1921 captured the grim sight. The condemned, or their corpse, was locked into a tight iron cage contoured to human form, preventing any movement. This cage was suspended high, often 30 feet or more, on a gibbet pole near roads, harbors, or water sources so maximum witnesses would see it. The victim died slowly from exposure, dehydration, starvation, and weather. Thirsty travelers might pass a dying person begging for water. After death,
you know what those remind me of, bro? Y'all ever watch like the Smurfs movies? The things they got them trapped in, there, like the what's that movie? I don't even know what the movie's called. Yeah, it's the Smurfs, I think.
body was left to rot for months or even years, with complaint of overwhelming stench disrupting communities. In some cases, remains lingered over 20 years before removal. This post-mortem punishment denied the criminal a proper burial and turned their decay into a lasting warning against murder and treason. It blended justice with deterrence and spectacle. Number 2, scaphism, the boats. Ancient Persia reportedly reserved one of its most drawn-out torments for murderers. Scaphism, or the boats. According to Greek historian Plutarch, drawing from earlier sources, and later Byzantine writer Jonas Zonaras, the victim was strapped face up between two small boats fitted together like a clamshell, with head, hands, and feet protruding into the open air and water. They were force-fed massive amounts of milk and honey until bloated, then smeared head to toe with the sticky mixture. The boats were set adrift on a lake or marsh under the blazing sun. The milk-honey combo triggered severe diarrhea, creating a foul mess that attracted swarms of insects, rodents, wasps, bees, and flies. By day, the sun baked the victim. By night, the creatures fed on the filth and living flesh. Rodents reportedly tried to burrow into the body. Fresh feedings of milk and honey continued daily to prolong the ordeal as long as possible. One famous account describes a man named Mithridates surviving 17 days, his face eventually covered in wasps, his body rotting and swarming with maggots and parasites while he lay in his own waste. Zonaras called it one of the most horrific punishments imaginable due to its endless nature. Medically, this involved extreme dehydration, widespread infection, tissue necrosis, and septic shock over nearly 3 weeks. It was psychological torture as much as physical. Constant exposure with no relief. Number 1. The oubliette, the pit of forgetting. At the pinnacle of nightmare stands the oubliette, from a French oublier, meaning to forget. These were among the most psychologically devastating punishments in European castles, including the Tower of London's Little E cell, which was so tiny a prisoner could neither stand fully, sit comfortably, nor lie down. In places like Warwick Castle, narrow stone pits deep underground had only a hatch in the ceiling for entry. Prisoners were simply dropped in and abandoned. At Leap Castle in Ireland, a 1900 renovation revealed a hidden oubliette behind a chapel wall containing dozens, possibly hundreds, of skeletons, requiring multiple cartloads to...
We're moving on to the next video because I can't pay attention to this one. It's just boring to me.
The secret meaning?
Hey children, here are the times you almost died but thought it was normal. Number 6, holding in sneezes. You're in class, it's...
I was told this was safe. I just found out this was bad like 3 weeks ago. My whole life I thought that was fine. I thought it was fine. No one ever told me. My mom watched me do it. Everyone in my family has watched me do that bullshit, and I thought it was fine. I'm 19 years old, by the way.
Dead quiet. Suddenly, you feel it coming. A massive sneeze. Not wanting to embarrass yourself, you pinch your nose and shut your mouth, determined to silently sneeze like a ninja. But instead of a stealth sneeze, you almost blow your head off. Your ears pop, your eyes water, and your brain feels like it
My ears only ever pop. I never had no like crazy side of it.
briefly left your skull. But hey, at least no one noticed, right? Here's the hidden danger. Holding in sneezes isn't just uncomfortable. It can literally rupture your eardrums, burst blood vessels, or even damage your throat due to built-up pressure. In extreme cases, people have ended up in the ER from an innocent little sneeze. So next time you feel a sneeze coming, just let it out. Embarrassment is temporary, but ruptured
How is it
eardrums
embarrassing
are
to
forever.
fucking sneeze?
Number 5, choking on water. You're sitting there, casually sipping water while scrolling TikTok, when suddenly your throat decides to switch teams. Instead of helping you swallow, it's actively trying to kill you. You're coughing, eyes watering, choking like it's game over. But here's the real deal. That's called aspiration, when water accidentally slips into your windpipe instead of your esophagus.
I do this
Thankfully,
all the
your
time.
body's cough reflex usually saves you before anyone notices you almost died from water. But it can genuinely block airflow, causing you to suffocate. Yeah, death by hydration, the dumbest way to go. Number 4, standing up too fast. You're lounging on the couch, glued to Netflix for hours, when suddenly you spring up because the pizza guy finally arrives. But
So
instead of making it
fast.
to the door, your vision suddenly fades to black. Stars explode in your eyes, and for a brief moment, your legs
Bro, this happens to me to this day all the fucking time, bro.
forget they're supposed to hold you up. You laugh it off as just standing up too fast. But here's what's actually happening. That blackout moment is your blood pressure dropping suddenly. Your brain literally isn't getting enough oxygen, and you're seconds away from fainting. Usually, your body quickly recovers,
Nice, so my body's not getting enough oxygen ever.
making you feel just slightly dizzy and embarrassed. But occasionally, people fall, hit their heads, or worse. So next time you rush for pizza, maybe stand up slow, because fainting is a lame reason to end up in the ER. Number 3, eating raw food. You're starving, fridge empty.
Sushi is my favorite food. I eat raw salmon, all that good stuff.
Except for some sketchy leftover sushi and questionable chicken nuggets. You're too lazy to microwave, so you pop a bite cold and raw, thinking, what's the worst that could happen?
Cold and raw.
Congrats, you just played raw food roulette. Raw chicken, seafood, or even uncooked eggs are perfect breeding grounds for nasty bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli, tiny assassins waiting to ambush your stomach. Most times, your stomach acid battles it out like a champ, and you move on thinking you're invincible. But when you lose, violent sickness, emergency trips, and a story you'll never live down. So, next time laziness tempts you into raw food adventures, remember, your stomach's tough, but not bulletproof. Number
I'm gonna end up dead because I have done all these so far.
2, cracking your neck. You're sitting at your desk after hours of gaming, studying, or whatever it is you pretend to do when your neck feels stiff. So naturally, you twist your head to the side and crack. Instant relief. Feels good, right?
What?
Here's the kicker. That satisfying crack isn't always harmless. Neck cracking involves rapidly stretching the joints and ligaments, releasing built-up gas bubbles. Harmless usually, but twist a bit too far or too aggressively, and you can actually damage blood vessels, causing clots, strokes, or even paralysis. Sounds extreme, but it's happened. People have legit ended up hospitalized after a casual neck crack session. So, if you think your neck's feeling stiff, maybe think twice before twisting it like you're in a chiropractor TikTok. Number 1, holding your breath too long. You're watching a movie, and the
I
main
knew it.
character dives underwater. Obviously, you hold your breath too, trying to see if you'd survive in their situation. But halfway through, your lungs are burning, and yours vision blurring, yet you stubbornly refuse to exhale. What you need to know is pushing your lungs past their limit isn't just a funny movie challenge. It's legit dangerous. You risk fainting from lack of oxygen, even
I doubt
triggering
it.
seizures or accidental drowning if you pass out in a bathtub or pool. Sure, it feels like harmless fun, but your little underwater breath-holding contest could genuinely knock you unconscious. Next movie night, maybe just let the actor do the breath-holding. Your brain likes oxygen more than it likes movie challenges. If you want to watch more video like...
Want to do it then. Alright. Oh, watch this one.
Behind every dream. Picture this. You tuck yourself into bed, getting cozy, ready for a well-deserved night's sleep. When almost instantly after closing your eyes and falling asleep, you find yourself having the most odd dream of all time. This dream is so vivid, in fact, that you wake up, remembering almost everything about this dream that you were just having. At first, this dream seems random and devoid of any meaning, but you decided to take a peek to see if it could possibly mean anything.
Bro, I always have
And after taking a quick look
the craziest fucking dream.
on Google, you realize that you are not the first person to have this dream, and that there are many interpretations on what it could possibly mean. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you've had a similar experience, which is why I wanted to describe all of the most common dream themes in one video. Dreams are so cool, but I think it's important to understand why we even dream in the first place. And to put it as briefly as possible, when we go to bed and rest our conscious minds, our subconscious minds are going to work to process all of the information from that day, trying to make sense of the world and everything that we experienced. Just imagine if every time you went outside and did something, you wrote down everything you saw and everything you did on a sticky note. By the end of the day, you would have a lot of sticky notes. And those sticky notes would probably need to be organized. That is what your subconscious mind is doing when you are sleeping. But what's interesting about that is that your subconscious mind does not speak the same language as you. Your conscious mind understands language and logic, although your subconscious mind understands the world through a different means, feelings, images, and metaphors. And that alone is a big reason why your dreams seem so random. I think social worker and sleep expert Suzanne Bergman described dreams best when she said, quote, "Dreams are a universal language, creating often elaborate images out of emotional concepts." But with that being said, although there is no solid scientific connection between certain dreams and specific emotional states, there is definitely implied meanings behind a handful of very common dreams. And in this video, I'm going to describe every single one of them. Let's begin. Dreaming of falling. I would bet money that almost everybody watching this video has had a similar experience to this. You go to bed, you lay down, you close your eyes, and you begin to feel yourself falling asleep. But just before you could fall fully asleep, your body jolts and you are woken up instantly. Now, I mentioned this one first because it is the most common dream of all time. And it's interesting because this jolt that actually wakes you up out of your dream isn't necessarily always associated with falling. Although,
Bro, these only ever happen to me when I'm thinking about it. Like, if I'm ever like you know what I'm talking about, how like sometimes you random stuff pops in your head. I kid you not, the same night I'll have a dream like this every time. And I don't know why.
in most cases, it is. And whether this spasm was accompanied by a dream or not, it still is the same thing. It is called a hyptic jerk, and it is actually an arousal of our primal instinct that allows us to quickly get up out of sleep and defend ourselves in a dangerous situation. Another place you actually see this response a lot is when people prank people that are sleeping. You'll notice that these sleeping people that are being pranked will quickly get up and assume some sort of offensive position, and it will typically take time for their mind to catch up to what their body's already doing. That is a major difference between the subconscious and conscious mind. But going back to the falling part of this dream, why do people dream about falling specifically?
Oh my god.
I run a podcast solo. No producer, no editor, no tech skills, just Riverside.
Just think about it. When you are falling, you are in likely the most vulnerable state you can be in. You are simply at the whim of gravity, waiting for whatever the outcome of this fall may be to happen. So for that reason, falling is a pretty good metaphor for feeling like you're losing control in your life, or at least fearful or anxious of losing that control. And this control could be anything. You could feel like you're losing control to bad habits. You could feel like you're losing control of who you truly are. You could feel like you're losing control of your life because your school schedule is so packed or your job is too overbearing. There are a plethora of life situations that could cause cause you to feel these feelings, but in most cases, when people experience a dream of falling, the most common interpretation of this is that the person experiencing that dream is feeling anxiety, fear, and most prominently, a sense of losing control, being chased. Falling was definitely the most commonly reported dream, but I can only imagine that being chased was a close second, because for me personally, this is a dream that I've had throughout my entire life. And I would imagine you've had a similar dream as well. And the deeper or secret meaning behind this dream is actually pretty self-explanatory. And the commonly accepted meaning is that this dream is a feeling of avoidance. In the dream that you...
Have y'all ever had a dream where you're running, bro, and like you can't run, like you're stuck? You know what I'm saying?
Experienced, you could have been chased by a murderer, a monster, a killer, an animal, a bear, whatever it may be, but no matter what was chasing you or in what scenario, the usual suspect for this chasing dream to even come about is because of an inner conflict that you either subconsciously or maybe even consciously know that you're avoiding. And even with this small bit of context, things may start to make a bit more sense. Like for example, if you go to bed tonight and you just dream that you're being chased by a bear, you're going to wake up thinking you had a nightmare and it was random. But if you understand the context that typically in dreams where you're being chased, you are reminding yourself that there is an internal conflict that you have not resolved, then you can kind of put back the pieces and realize that, oh yeah, I wasn't really dreaming about a bear. My mind was just symbolizing the fact that I am totally avoiding dealing with X, Y, or Z in my life. And once again, there's a million things that you could be avoiding that you know you have to face. But because your subconscious mind is extremely creative and doesn't speak English, you end up getting a murderer or a bear chasing you in your sleep. Teeth falling out. We're starting to get a bit more niche here, but this is actually another dream that I have personally experienced. In my specific situation, I was just dreaming that I was in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror. And as I looked in the mirror, my teeth were extremely loose and I was actually able to touch them and they were just falling out. Obviously, this dream was rather disturbing and it grossed me out, and when I woke up, I remembered it vividly and was pretty unsettled by it. So unsettled that it caused me to actually Google what this could possibly mean. And it was that entire experience that later inspired this exact video. But with that being said, what could teeth falling out mean in a dream? Does it mean that you subconsciously know you need to brush your teeth more? And while in most cases that isn't the case, I would say that's definitely not impossible either. Like I said, this is all interpretation. And for example, if you did know that you had to brush your teeth and you weren't, and you dreamt about it, that could very well be the reason why. But in most cases, why people dream of their teeth falling out is much deeper and much more severe. In short, dreams of losing teeth is most often linked to stress, fear, and uncertainty. At this point, a common theme, but it goes a bit deeper. In some beliefs, teeth symbolize stability and security. So if your mind is creating dreams where this symbol of security and stability is just falling out of your mouth, that could be a representation of how you feel in your waking life. Do you have a pain that you are just simply not addressing, or are you simply stressed out? Any of these situations could potentially cause you to have a dream about losing your teeth. And if you've personally ever experienced a similar sort of dream, think about what was going on in your life during the time, and if there was anything that you could pinpoint that could have potentially caused this dream. Losing your hair. Similar to the situations we discussed previously with losing your teeth, a dream about losing your hair can typically be caused by similar experiences, although there's a bit of a twist. Because where teeth in some places represent stability and security, hair represents beauty and youth. And in that context, a dream about losing your hair is typically associated with a feeling of stress or vulnerability around someone's self-esteem, whether it be the fear of aging or an insecurity of your personal looks, potentially triggered by some sort of bullying. And while this niche interpretation seems logical, there's also more general associations around having a hair loss dream, specifically feeling like you're losing control of some aspect of your life or feeling, once again, vulnerable. Already, we're starting to see a common theme among different dreams, but I think it's important to reiterate these things and also highlight the differences and nuances. Drowning. Drowning may be one of the most unsettling of the common dreams we're going to be discussing in this video, because I think the situation for many, myself included, is a true worst possible fear, which just makes the lifelike situation in your dream feel even more unsettling. Regardless, if you have experienced this dream, what could it possibly mean? And similar to the first dream we discussed of falling, drowning has a very similar interpretation, specifically feeling either overwhelmed or, once again, out of control in your life. But it does go a bit deeper than that, because drowning is typically associated with the feeling of being smothered. And while there is an endless amount of things that could make you feel smothered in life, these dreams are typically triggered by either a situation that is so overbearing, emotions that are at this point too strong to care anymore, or responsibilities that you have that you feel like are literally drowning you. Drowning, like falling, is another situation where you are completely out of control. It's you versus Mother Nature. And while you may not be falling waiting to hit the ground, with drowning, I think it might almost be worse because you are consistently fighting against the waves in the water, just trying to stay afloat, knowing that eventually you're going under. If you've personally experienced a drowning dream, try to reflect. Was this around a time where you felt overwhelmed by something in your life? Potentially you just had too much on your plate with school, sports, life, family, friends. Maybe you were going through something really tough and the emotions were just too much to bear at times. Like I mentioned, all of these dreams are different interpretations, and they could also be triggered by a number of life situations. But most typically, drowning is interpreted as feeling overwhelmed and out of control.
Great news! Now your account has a level, and you get free daily cases.
Control. Fighting. Fighting dreams are very common, but also, interestingly, very intense. Now, that sounds a bit odd to say on this list where most of these dreams are intense, but I think out of all of them, fighting is some of the most intense because it literally activates the neurochemicals that would activate your fight, flight, or freeze response. But that being said, if you have this dream about fighting, what does it mean? And there's actually, obviously, a lot of interpretations, but there's a few primary ones depending on who you're fighting. If you have a dream about physically fighting somebody that you know in your daily life, let's say this is a friend of yours, that dream would typically be symbolic that you have some sort of unsettled trauma or dispute or negative emotions that have not been fully sorted out. And this dream could be your subconscious mind trying to remind you that we need to do something about this situation. And I think this interpretation is somewhat obvious. I think this is one of those dreams that you don't necessarily need to Google. Like if you had a dream about fighting your friend and you knew that this friend owed you money, you could be able to put 2 and 2 together. Although if you had this dream and you didn't think you had any issue with your friend, but then you sat and thought about it and realized that, oh, actually, last time I saw this guy, he said something that rubbed me the wrong way, but I kind of let it slide. Maybe this might be a good opportunity to bring that situation up to him and be like, hey, that thing, whatever the case may be. Now, here's where things get interesting. If this person in your dream that you are fighting is not somebody that you know or recognize, or maybe doesn't even have a face at all, they're like a character that you haven't unlocked yet, what this typically symbolizes is that you have some internal conflict that you are trying deeply to resolve. And this could go for a lot of things. Perhaps you're at a crossroads in your life and you don't know which way to go. This dream could be representing your indecision. Or perhaps you're doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing. Or you're not doing what you should be doing. This dream, once again, could interpret your better self trying to bring you out of a slump, but you're fighting a version of yourself that is still falling into bad habits. And when you get into dream lore, you kind of learn about something known as the shadow self, which is essentially a subconscious version of you, but that may be kind of beyond the scope of this video. Regardless, fighting dreams almost always symbolize an internal conflict, whether that be an internal conflict against yourself, a situation you're facing, or even how you feel about another person. And depending on who you're fighting, that could be a major clue into what kind of situation you are subconsciously dealing with. Being naked in public. Okay, this one isn't just a dream, it's the dream.
Or like, you forget your pants in your dream, bro. Like, you just is walking around casually in your dream, you look down and your pants isn't there, bro. I've had a lot of those.
Totally joking, but I'm glad that this one isn't as tense as the other ones, although the meaning is still just as serious. I think this is another one of those dreams that isn't necessarily extremely difficult to try to decode on a surface level, but there are some nuances that we'll get into. I think intuitively we kind of all understand that a dream of being naked in a public place can be symbolic for feeling vulnerable, but I think even taking it a step deeper than that, this imagery could be symbolic of insecurities that you're feeling, a need for acceptance, or potentially a fear of judgment or criticism. If you're at a place in your life where you feel like you are under immense pressure and being judged and criticized at every move, you may be dreaming of being naked because for how much you're being judged in your day-to-day life, you might as well just be naked because everybody looks at you so weird and sees you as alien, or at least that may be how your subconscious mind, understands that criticism. When you get criticized or called out, you feel exposed. You feel literally vulnerable and alone, and the same sort of situation exists when you are naked in public. You're the only person with no clothes on and everybody's looking at you. This dream is funny to think about, but it's definitely an uncomfortable dream to have, and it's once again rooted in some pretty serious negative emotions. Being pregnant. Now, this is specifically if you're having a dream about being pregnant while not being pregnant. I think if you're pregnant and have a dream about being pregnant, you're just having a dream. I don't think there's necessarily a special meaning there, but interestingly, it's said that this dream isn't necessarily limited to just women, and that men could also have this dream of being pregnant. And if you're a man who has had this dream, drop it in the comments. But this is also the first dream that we've discussed that doesn't have a negative connection to it, actually, which is a nice change of pace. And dreams of being pregnant typically symbolize new beginnings, personal growth, or the anticipation of a significant life change. And if you look at it that way, it kind of makes sense why your subconscious mind would illustrate these things as pregnancy. If you think about pregnancy, it's a similar thing. It's a new beginning. There is literally personal growth, and there is a huge life change coming. And I guess with all of these dreams, or potentially any dream you could have, if you understand the context that a dream is just your subconscious mind that communicates through images and feelings trying to understand the world, then you can almost reverse engineer these things to see what's really going on. And it's that exact reverse engineering process that's given us all of these kind of interpretations, because like I mentioned, they're interpretations. They're not scientifically proven. They're just commonly accepted representations. And so far, I think a lot of them make sense. And for some of them, I've experienced exactly the situation and the exact feelings that they've described. So if you're a woman who's had a dream about being pregnant, or if you're a man who's had a dream about being pregnant, understand that this isn't necessarily a bad thing. And it doesn't just mean that you're going to be pregnant in the near future. I mean, potentially it could mean that depending on what you believe or how you interpret it. But in most cases, it's just a simple representation of personal change, personal growth, and new beginnings either ongoing or in the near future. Death.
Play solo. After work. At your own pace. No stress.
Taking almost a 180 from dreams of being pregnant, we have dreams of dying. Now, interestingly, dreams of dying have typically very similar associations to dreams of being pregnant.
I've had dreams where I was like at my own funeral and stuff like that, and that freaks me out.
Which is why I put them side by side. Now, on the surface, a dream of yourself personally dying could be one of the scariest and most upsetting dreams you can have. And in some cases, and in some cultures, this dream is taken literally, and it means that, oh, this is a sign that I'm gonna die soon. Which, I mean, depending what you believe, I mean, maybe it could be the case, but in most instances, that isn't the case at all, and that's typically not what your subconscious is trying to tell you. Similar to how your subconscious mind illustrates a new beginning as a pregnancy, your brain can also take the same input and illustrate death. But this isn't necessarily the death of you, this could be the death of a chapter in your life. Whether it be you start a new relationship, you end a relationship, you start a new job, you start thinking a different way.
I'll be right back, yo. Give me like 2 minutes.
Start working out whatever major life change is happening in your life, there is a death of the old version of yourself, and potentially even the death of something in your life, like a job or a schooling system or whatever the case may be. So it's interesting to think, if you've ever had a dream of yourself personally dying, is there anything that was going on at the time that was a big pivotal moment for you that ended up being ideally positive? This dream could have been extremely scary and you might have even considered it to be a nightmare, but perhaps your mind wasn't necessarily representing your death, but it was representing the death of something in your life. Now, that kind of goes out the window if your dream was, you know, you getting murdered or hit by a car. Like, I feel like depending on how gruesome your death was, potentially there's more going on there, and it kind of leans into some of the other things we've discussed with, you know, with feeling out of control and feeling stressed out and overwhelmed. I would say if you had a gruesome death, you're probably not like, yeah, this is a new beginning. This is why I dreamt of getting hit by an 18-wheeler. Like, I don't think that's the connection, but yeah. It's typically believed that symbolically, a dream of death can be the metaphor of a chapter of your life closing, allowing a new chapter to begin, meeting a lost loved one. If you've ever lost a loved one,
I hate these dreams so much, bro, because, like, it's just so sad when you wake up and realize that isn't real. Like, I hate these.
Whether it be a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, whoever it may be, then you've probably had a dream about them at some point after their passing. And you've maybe even wanted to dream about them just to have more communication with them. Now, with this specific, very sensitive issue, there is a lot of interpretations and beliefs surrounding them. And while that obviously goes for all of these entries, I want to make that explicitly clear for this one as well. For people who have had a dream of meeting a loved one once again after their passing, it's typically believed that this dream is symbolic of an individual reflecting on the relationship that they had with this lost individual, or potentially even them grieving this lost individual and desiring a deep connection with them once again. And like I mentioned, it makes sense if you think about it. If you've lost a loved one and, you know, that is just gone now, your subconscious mind is going to have to do a lot of work to try to comprehend what that even means. And that person may be interjected into your dream as a result. And some interpretations include that if you meet a lost loved one in your dream, that is that lost loved one specifically trying to contact you, or I guess successfully contacting you to let you know that they have made it to the other side and that they are with you and whatever they may say to you in the dream, if they say anything at all. So this one is interesting because there's a lot of ways you could take it. It could be a representation of you trying to deal with the loss of this person and trying to understand your new relationship with them after them being gone, or it can even be them communicating with you from the other side. But whatever you may believe, it's interesting to understand these dreams and try to ponder them when they happen. But I do think this entry is likely the most self-explanatory on the list. You're dreaming about a lost loved one because you're thinking about a lost loved one. But regardless, it's a pretty straightforward dream, although there's still a ton to unpack around it. Snakes. Before we get to the last common dream on this list, I just want to say that there is a ton more of crazy and common dreams I want to discuss. But time is limited for every video. So if you want a part 2 with more common dreams, either leave a like or leave a comment below letting me know that you want that video, and I'll be more than happy to make it. Oh, and if you're enjoying this video and watch us often, feel free to subscribe. It turns out a good majority of you guys aren't even subscribed, but if you enjoyed the video, you might as well. It's free, and I hear it gives you good dreams. But back to snakes. Snakes are one of the most interesting dreams I've researched for this video. Specifically because I could not get one solid read. Like I mentioned, every dream I discussed is open to interpretation, and there are plenty of interpretations, but typically there is an underlying...
Alright, chat.
Depression is a mental disorder that drains the color out of life. It affects how your brain produces and uses chemicals like serotonin and dopamine, the messengers that help you feel pleasure, motivation, and connection. When these systems malfunction, everything becomes harder. You wake up exhausted even after sleeping for 10 hours. Food tastes like nothing. Hobbies that once excited you now feel pointless. Your brain tells you that nothing will ever get better, and you believe it because depression doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like emptiness. Sadness has a reason, a story, a cause. Depression just exists, heavy and constant, even when your life looks fine from the outside. People say, just think positive, or go for a walk, but depression isn't a bad mood you can shake off. It's your brain physically struggling.
Facts, I feel like that's the biggest problem with even most mental disorders. If you are not medicated for them, you can't just shake it off. Like eats at your brain almost, it's weird.
To generate the chemicals that make herring possible. Thoughts slow down, decisions become overwhelming, and getting out of bed can feel like climbing a mountain. You might sleep all day or lie awake all night. You withdraw from friends not because you want to, but because pretending to be okay takes energy you don't have. Over time, untreated depression reshapes how you see yourself and the world. It convinces you that this numbness is who you really are, that joy was always temporary, that hope is just a lie people tell themselves. The disorder doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers quietly until you forget what feeling alive used to be like.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Generalized anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder turns normal worry into a constant alarm system that never shuts off. Your brain treats everyday situations like emergencies, flooding your body with stress hormones even when there's no real danger. Everyone worries sometimes, about tests or money or relationships, but anxiety disorder makes you worry about everything, all the time, even things that haven't happened yet and probably never will. You lie awake imagining disasters. You replay conversations, convinced you said something wrong. Your mind jumps from one fear to the next, building worst-case scenarios out of nothing. Physically, your body stays tense. Your shoulders ache, your stomach hurts, and your heart races for no clear reason. You feel exhausted because your nervous system thinks it's protecting you from threats that don't exist. Simple decisions become overwhelming because every choice feels like it could lead to catastrophe. Should you send that text? What if they misunderstand? What if they get angry? The disorder steals your ability to relax because your brain has forgotten how to tell the difference between actual danger and imagined problems. People tell you to calm down, to stop overthinking, but that's like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk normally. Over time, the constant tension wears you down. You start avoiding situations that trigger worry, which only makes the world feel smaller and more threatening. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a condition where your brain struggles to regulate focus, impulses, and energy. The part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, which controls planning and self-control, develops more slowly or works differently. This means you want to pay attention, you want to sit still, you want to finish tasks, but your brain won't cooperate. People think ADHD means you can't focus on anything, but that's wrong. You can hyper-focus on things that interest you for hours, losing track of time completely. The problem is you can't choose what gets your attention. Boring tasks feel physically painful to start. Your mind wanders during conversations, even when you care about the person talking. You forget appointments, lose your keys, and leave projects half-finished, not because you're lazy, but because your brain doesn't produce enough dopamine to make follow-through feel rewarding. Impulsivity makes you interrupt people, buy things without thinking, or say things you instantly regret. You might fidget constantly, tap your foot, or feel restless in your own skin. Time feels slippery. You underestimate how long things take, then panic when deadlines appear suddenly. At school or work, you're called careless, unmotivated, or ditzy, but inside you're trying harder than anyone realizes. The exhausting part is knowing what you need to do while watching yourself fail to do it anyway. ADHD creates a gap between intention and action that willpower alone can't bridge. Obsessive-compulsive disorder. Obsessive-compulsive disorder traps your mind in a loop of intrusive thoughts and desperate rituals. Your brain gets stuck on a fear, an image, or a terrible what-if scenario, and it won't let go. These are called obsessions, unwanted thoughts that invade your mind even when you try to push them away. Maybe you're terrified of germs spreading disease, or convinced you left the stove on and your house will burn down, or haunted by violent images that horrify you. The thoughts feel so real, so urgent, that your brain demands you do something to make them stop. That's where compulsions come in. You wash your hands until they crack and bleed. You check the door locks 15 times before leaving. You count, tap, arrange objects in perfect order, or repeat phrases silently. These rituals feel like the only way to prevent disaster, but the relief lasts seconds before the anxiety returns and demands you do it again. OCD convinces you that your thoughts have power, that thinking something bad makes it more likely to happen unless you perform the right action. People joke about being so OCD when they like things organized, but real OCD is torture. You know the rituals are irrational. You know checking the stove 10 times makes no logical sense, but the fear is so overwhelming that you can't stop yourself. Hours disappear into compulsions. Your hands hurt. Your mind exhausts itself, and the disorder tightens its grip. OCD doesn't make you careful or neat. It makes you a prisoner to thoughts you never wanted in the first place. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder happens when your brain gets stuck in survival mode after experiencing something terrifying. A car crash, violence, abuse, war, or any event where you felt your life was in danger can rewire how your brain processes fear and safety. Normally, after something scary ends, your nervous system calms down and files the memory away. With PTSD, that system breaks. Your brain keeps replaying the trauma as if it's still happening right now. Flashbacks aren't like normal memories where you picture the past. They're vivid, physical re-experiences. A smell, a sound, or a random sight can transport you back instantly. Your heart pounds, your breathing quickens, and for those seconds or minutes, you genuinely believe you're in danger again. Nightmares invade your sleep, jolting you awake in terror. You become hypervigilant, constantly scanning for threats, unable to relax even in safe places. Loud noises noises make you jump. Crowds feel suffocating. You avoid anything that reminds you of the trauma, which sometimes means avoiding entire parts of your life. Emotions become unpredictable. Anger erupts over small things. You feel numb and disconnected, even from people you love. Concentration disappears because your brain is too busy watching for danger to focus on anything else. PTSD makes you feel broken, like the trauma stole who you used to be. Your brain is trying to protect you, but the alarm system won't turn off. You're living in the aftermath while your mind keeps dragging you back to the worst moment. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder sends your brain swinging between
Take us to 200 hard!
I'm just trying to figure something out, so. Let me open this game real quick, chat. Let me make sure it's working. I'm still waiting for the stream to show. I'm sorry. Alright, cool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Alright. We'll start a new one. It's 1990, the golden age of movies. Rentals and your dream is about to become reality. You are now the proud owner of a video store. Your first day is about to begin. But the shop needs a little love. Time to set up a few shelves. Buy some movies and decorate your store before your first customers walk through the door. What do I need to? Should I put this chat right here? But I'm not able to type it, obviously. How do I edit? Let's go purple. Nah, I want to go this one. Purple. Purple. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, marking. How do I turn this fuck shit up, man? Purple. I'm literally fucking clicking the computer. What am I supposed to do? I should, probably should. Holy hell. I can only carry. I say we put drama right here. Horror right here. And then we'll put the mix right here. So I don't have room to put these in the rest. Alright, what are we gonna call this?
Ooh. Ooh.
Alright.
Oh.
450. I gotta give you 50 cents back. Okay? What tea? An old movie, something from the golden age of cinema. What do you suggest? And I don't know the movies like that, man. I need something old and very current.
Oh.
There we go. Hold on. $8. I gotta, man, shit is cheap as fuck here, man. I need to raise them prices, man. Stop playing. Ooh, 3 movies, big baller shit. Screen saver. Oh, you $16 back, bro. Why didn't you just give me like a 5? Have a great day. Come on, man. Horror movie, drama, I'm giving y'all Monopoly money back. Did you all see that? I don't think that moves up to over here. Yeah. See these on the shelf. I wasn't open last week, first of all. Go ahead.
Wow.
What is this? Look, this is Monopoly money. Why are there jiggle effects? I know y'all saw that. Are these old clothes? Definitely not human traffic.
Ooh.
Why don't y'all like my story?
Ooh.
Drama? Man, if this dude would get out of my way. Bro, please move me. Ooh. Fantastic pick. I know. Good. Good ball. Buster. Bag for you got some bad moves, man. You got goodbye. Dolly. Have a great day, sir. Why are you looking at me like that? Can I close? Made $122. Stop. Someone ain't returning their movies. I still. We are in business. I don't even got a seat when we got through it. They don't even got a seat. Power Patrol, Sheriff, and Woody? Look like a stone. I don't have bad movies.
Ooh.
Bro, I heard my stream in the background, bro. Come on. Come on. My monkey never falls. Give me money. Hold up. Goodbye, have a great day. So it's 12, 15.
Yo sábara.
Oh.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like it's time for me. What's up, chat? So I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'll be live tomorrow at So, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'll be live tomorrow at 2. I think, 2. Good night, Marissa. Thank you for staying in the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a great night.